Souls games have grown to be like my absolute favorite genre of games, but I think we can all remember our first attempt going something like this, or we tried to get a loved one or a friend into the games and that was the end of that relationship. I've never met anyone that says that these games are mid. They are either absolute trash or God's gift to gamers. Both are correct. But today we're going to go over the top 10 reasons people hate Souls games, building up to the number one reason. See if you can guess what it is. Let's run it. Number 10, the community. If you have never played one of these games and you try to come into it community first, it's going to be a pretty strange experience. A lot of it is built around challenge runs, which can be fun, but watching hundreds of people cheering on a guy doing a level 1 no-hit run back-to-back of all the Souls games, from the outside, it basically feels like you walked into a room and there's one dude getting his nuts kicked over and over, and there's just a crowd of dudes around him going, hell yeah. It is a strange, masochistic phenomenon. The community can also have this tendency to come off a little gatekeepy of accomplishments, like someone announcing, hey, I just beat Dark Souls. The follow-up question from people is, so when's your Deathless run? Or I beat Elden Ring, and people are like, yeah, that Mimic tier is OP, right? Most people are just playing games to have fun, cherry on the top if there's a challenge to it. So when they look from the outside in, they may just see this just ridiculous, unnecessary challenge that people put them through and don't want to be anywhere near it. So for someone on the outside looking in, they might only see ridiculous, unnecessary challenge and can't see how they would find any of that remotely fun. Number 9, repetitive. Area, upgrade materials, boss, area, upgrade material, boss, area, upgrade material, boss. If you don't like that gameplay loop, then you hate every Souls game ever made. That's the entire bit. Yes, they've tweaked gameplay and aesthetics, but that core gameplay loop is not going anywhere. After you beat a boss and reach a new area, you spend your souls to upgrade your character a near imperceptible amount, and then there isn't going to be some kind of puzzle for you to solve. There's no mini game where you collect a certain amount of souls, which open up a secret cave or something. No, there is an area with enemies placed throughout. Kill them or run past them to get to the boss, and that is it for all the games. Now for me and many of you, we are addicted to this hard drug that is taking years off of our lives. The subtle difference in movement, boss, area design between and throughout the games is enough to keep it fresh and keep the boys coming back. But I can absolutely see someone struggling for hours to get past the first area of Dark Souls 3, finally obtain victory, and then ask, cool, all right, what's next? And the answer is more of that. Again, but harder and forever. Yeah, I mean, I can see why you'd want to play something else. Number 8, multiplayer sucks. There is a reason the Elden Ring Seamless Co-op mod has 3.2 million downloads. There are AAA games that don't even get that many purchases. And there would be so much more downloads if it wasn't just for PC. Can you imagine that? Essentially, all this does is just allow you to play through the campaign of Elden Ring with a friend seamlessly. If you don't play Souls games, you may be like, what's the big deal? That's like standard stuff. Let me tell you something, pal. The process that FromSoft themselves has always used is this clunky, limited summoning your friends into your world systems. You can't just pull up a menu before you even load into the world. No, you both have to be in your own separate worlds in the same locations, use a special item, find where the summoning spot is that your buddy left, correctly summon them into your world to temporarily gain access to co-op. And you can't do very much, and it's not very often that you can do it. If you're first and foremost a social gamer, you are going to hate how little and how annoying it is to simply play a game with your friends, especially if you don't have access to mods with PC. And that's just playing with people, by the way. How about against them? Like the middle child, player versus player has always been an afterthought in these games, both in support and just overall balance. I love sweaty 1v1 games like StarCraft 2 and Super Smash Melee, but there just isn't enough developer care and attention for me to bother getting into PvP in Souls games. Elden Ring Night Rain is an exception to this, but even that has been critiqued for no cross-platform support and no in-game voice chat. From Software making a single-player experience versus making a multiplayer experience. Now, you may be watching this video thinking, dang, that chair looks comfortable. It is. I've been using this swivel rocker recliner Lotus from today's sponsor, Flexi Spot, and it is awesome. It has this giant spacious seat so I can sit in all sorts of different positions while I'm gaming. If someone comes in and starts talking to me, then I can easily, politely turn and let them know I'm gaming. And then I'm right back into it, even effortlessly reclining so that I can fully relax. I mean, it can even rock back and forth. You are not restricted in movement at all. The build quality is excellent, comfortable, and super soft. I hardly even have to get up because it includes extra storage space, and some models even include USB charging for your phone. If you've been following this channel, then you know I've been kind of struggling with back pain from sitting too much. Honestly, this thing has been a game changer. The fact that I can change positions so often, swivel around, lean back, all that stuff effortlessly has helped a ton. This thing is basically like a mini couch. It's awesome. You can get it in multiple colors so that it matches well with your home decor, so there's no excuse to not pick one up. You can check it out by clicking the link in the description and pinned comment. Use code LOTUS30 to get $30 off. Plus, don't miss Flexi Spot's Black Friday sale up to 80% off. Thank you so much for the chair and sponsoring us, Flexi Spot. And now back to the video. Number 7, the story. Ask a casual player about the story behind a Souls game, and they're just gonna say, there's a story? Apparently, yes. So basically, Souls games put together a cohesive narrative of what happens in the world. They take a step back to admire their work, and then they scream, fire! And then they shoot a rocket launcher at it. All of the pieces go flying everywhere into item descriptions and NPC dialogue, and then you, as the player, watch a YouTube video explaining all of it while you take a shit. And you still don't understand it anyway, but whatever. Stab, 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 kill boss, win, get laid, all that stuff. And that is just the main story. I made an entire video about how obtuse and strangely structured the quests are in these games. To give you a perspective, the most accessible Souls game, Elden Ring, has a quest line so long and unintuitive that the video explaining how to do it has 9 million views. These games do offer incredibly deep and rich stories and characters, but the way they distribute those stories can feel like you either get it spoon-fed to you on YouTube, or you yourself invest hundreds of hours in multiple playthroughs to piece it together yourself. There is no middle ground for a casual player to just go throughout the game and understand the meaning of the characters and how they're all interwoven together into this world. You either know nothing or you become an archaeologist of sadness. Number 6, instructions unclear. Particularly in the case of Dark Souls games, people say they don't hold your hand. In my experience, they don't just not hold your hand, they don't make eye contact with you in the hall, you don't sit together at lunch, most of the school doesn't even know you're dating. You are thrown into the game, given a vague line of dialogue from a creepy NPC, and off you go. There is little to no obvious explanation of build classes, where to go, what is good for what, and so on. You die, and die again, and then die 100 more times until you learn that maybe I shouldn't be in this catacombs area yet and should go somewhere else. Many players respect this game design decision because it makes the actual player feel lost and hopeless, instead of having a cinematic where the character says, I feel lost and hopeless. Many of these decisions are just made so that the player feels like they are in the world of the game. The problem is, the world of Dark Souls sucks. Everything is dead and everyone is sad. You aren't playing as a character who is all powerful and has all the answers. And many players don't enjoy spending their day in the real world feeling purposeless and lost, only to then get home and play a game that makes them feel the same way. They would prefer to play something that makes them feel powerful, respected, Italian, and I can understand that appeal. Number 5, rigid build structure. I hate this personally, okay? I hate finding a cool weapon in a secret cave that I, spent items to go discover, and it's not compatible with my build. Or I am in late game and kill a boss, get a cool weapon that is compatible with my build, and I don't have the smithing stones to upgrade it so that it's even remotely relevant at this stage in the game. Cool. Yeah, I love exploring. So if you look at this from the perspective of someone who's coming in from like the shooter game genre, right? Imagine playing Halo, but you can't use the Covenant weapons because your build is based assault rifle enjoyer. Or you have to replay the first missions in order to collect specific ammo for the rocket launcher in the mission you actually want to play. It's annoying if you're the type of player who enjoys moment-to-moment gameplay variety. Yes, you can respec in a lot of Souls games now, but to this day with From Software, you still cannot take smithing stones from your weapon and just utilize them on another weapon still. And honestly, the only reason is because it would be too convenient. Souls games are designed and praised for pushing back against things being a little too player friendly in gaming these days. But inconvenience for its own sake can alienate a lot of players. Number 4, rage baiting. This one I actually don't really understand. People get worked up over absolutely nothing. Just get good, dude. All right, I'm kidding. No, these games seem hell-bent on pissing people off. Even in games like Elden Ring, they can't help themselves but create one-shot attacks that everyone hates. Or Dark Souls, where they placed a bonfire where hardly anybody would ever find it, so you spend hours repeating a challenge you'd already have cleared if you had just checked Reddit. But before that, the most notorious was the boss runback. I rage quit Dark Souls 2 because of the Ancient Dragon runback. What's odd about all this is that nobody in their right mind actually fights through all the enemies again. We all just run past them. These games are designed for calculated combat. This isn't Super Mario, where the entire game is designed to make running past enemies fun. And yet, you will spend hours doing it in Souls games, and it can be a chore. I'm not surprised to see the first game they fully abandoned boss runbacks sold 30 million copies. Poison swamps, tiny walkways, ganked by trash mobs, all things that make Souls games, hey, what they are, but damn, are they rage bait. Number 3, time consuming. I know this one personally because I have spent a little over a year streaming my dad's first video game playthrough ever, Dark Souls. It's been a year, but I've aged about 10. From a combat perspective, bosses do not go down easy. You have to be willing to invest a lot of time simply failing over and over. If you want to level up your weapon, you have to kill the same enemies over and over, or run throughout the world just picking up items. If you want to understand the story, at the very least, you're watching hours of lore videos to piece it all together. And in some games, if you run out of heals, have fun grinding early game to stock back up. The good news is, if you get hooked on these games, there is a near infinite amount of time that you can satisfyingly spend on this genre. It feels like you're looking down a massive valley just waiting to be explored. But if they don't hook you, it feels like you're looking up at a mountain of crap that you just have to spend eternity climbing over. Number 2, the difficulty. This one's complicated because difficulty is subjective. However, when people say they hate these games specifically because they're difficult, they're usually referring to something that I can agree with. The learning curve is steep as hell in these games. Since there is no difficulty setting, the developers have to completely guess what a player's capabilities are and what their threshold for failure is. If they guess wrong, you suffer for hours, my friend. But what makes matters worse is not only is the difficulty high, the consequences for failure are brutal in comparison to other gaming genres. Low-skill players feel like they're being maliciously punished when they finally successfully fight their way through an area, and as a reward, they fight the boss with one healing flask. They get demolished, and the reward, do it all again. Even if someone makes it past early game, many players get absolutely curb stomped by late game bosses and resort to cheeses and overpowered techniques they found online. This can really cheapen the experience of victory for them because all they've really done is remove themselves from the core combat loop that got them interested in the first place. All because the game had become too difficult for them to enjoy themselves. And now, the #1 reason people hate Souls games: the combat. Bosses will do these massive, flashy moves, sick combos, insane AoE attacks. And then what do you get to do? Roll at the right time. And then when they're done doing their cool shit, you get to press the attack button once, maybe twice, and perform the same attack you've done hundreds of times. Beyond that, the controls for some of this combat system can be mind-boggling to understand if you're new. How to properly use bow and arrows, which are trash anyway, has way more inputs than it should. Many of your magic and faith spells don't offer much skill expression, honestly, beyond properly spacing and just timing your button press to allow the spell to be used. Only just recently has From Software started allowing players more godlike special abilities in Night Rain. Critics of Souls games would say that this is too little, too late for them. Oh, and we haven't even talked about how awful giant bosses are of these games. Honestly, the camera could have been one of these top 10 things. The camera's ridiculous. I've been getting into Monster Hunter, and I've always had a suspicion that the way From Software has handled giant bosses is super one-dimensional and just shitty. Good God, I had no idea how good it could be. Okay, I can never go back to just smacking the fire giant's left foot 50 times again. God. Overall, there are other franchises that offer probably much deeper and more varied combat systems than Souls games. Now, I know I've talked a lot of crap about Souls games today. Calm down. But what I will say is what these games do best, no game genre does better. I can't explain it. No other genre makes me want to win so desperately at all costs. And I enjoy being part of a passionate community that, if you're struggling, is always willing to give a helping hand because they have absolutely been there themselves. I hope you've enjoyed my thoughts today. Please subscribe. We're getting really close to 100,000 subscribers, so that would be great. If you want to support the channel more directly, please consider becoming a channel member. Pick up some sweet merch. Just check out the channel in general. You won't be bored. But as always, thanks for watching.